October 19th, 2023, Saturday. Store's closed, and I've accomplished a lot. Yes, this is the table in my first store in my warehouse, and I know it doesn't quite look the same, but that's because I've been working on clearing it off. So today, Saturday, was a little crazy. My kids had some soccer games, so I was in and out of the store. It was fairly slow. This week was a little slow, but I had some new customers come in. Someone signed up for the newsletter. Person bought a bunch of vinyl, so it's good when new customers come in. Just didn't have a lot of people, but that's what happens from week to week. But I am able, or was able to, as I mentioned before, start the process, because I finished going through all those CDs, start the process of going through everything that was on this table, which I've used now for quite a while as a sorting / photography table. Taking tons of photos here of items to list on eBay, both lots and individual items. And the whole plan has been to clear it off and create a bunch of space where I can have, not have precarious stacks of CDs and DVDs and whatnot, which I still have some over there, but I'll tell you about those. And so I can use it, to really have space to sort for photographs, all that kind of stuff. Especially when I get a bunch of stuff to sort, it's nice to have more space. If it's a bunch of books, if it's a bunch of CDs, DVDs, whatever it is, the more space, the better, and having most of the table is nice. So I plan on keeping this pretty open. That's the idea. So the whole idea was to clear off the space, so it's not so cluttered, and to start sorting through all those CDs and DVDs I had stacked there, which I was able to get through those. Haven't got to these yet, but I did get to those. So those are the CDs that were on the table before. Those are all the ones that are going to go out into my store week by week. And then these are the DVDs that I went through. So those two, there's a big action movie DVD lot, and then there's what do you call them? Like classic movies, older movies. So there's 19 of those older ones, and there's 60 of the action. So we'll see how we do on eBay with those. Checked all the discs, ready to go. And then so far, I have around 20 CD lots that I will be listing next week. Well, photographing first and then listing on eBay. And thankfully, I've been able to prepare for next week. So as I've told you guys, I photograph all the new inventory that goes into the store and put it in on Facebook, Instagram, and on my Facebook and Instagram accounts and business accounts, and in my newsletter, which currently has about like 370-ish people on it, which is, I know it's not a huge amount of people, but it's a very high percentage that actually opens the email. So it works out really well because it's very targeted towards people that are interested specifically in the types of physical media items that I'm selling. So anyway, so then I send out all of that. So I did all of that, photographed it, and everything that's out here on the tables and everything, I've put it all out. So I don't have to do that next week. I can focus on continuing to go through the books in my second bookstore, and then, of course, continue to go through everything over here. So starting on Monday, I will also photograph all of those lots, CD lots, and depending on how much I have to ship, I will also photograph the DVD lots, the 2 DVD lots. Hopefully, I'll start to dive into the rest of the CDs here and here, but we'll see. Definitely by Tuesday, I will be charging through a lot of this stuff, and hopefully by Thursday of next week, which is when I have the store open again, I will have gone through all of this, at least the bare minimum sorted through it, because I have to figure out, so I have to see how much is in each lot, and then look it up on eBay and see if it's worth selling at all, because I ended up getting rid of a bunch of stuff that wasn't worth selling, and there were also some CDs that I had and DVDs that I didn't have in stock out in my store. So I ended up adding those to the inventory for this week, and I have more for next week as well. I did put all the new CDs though, but I still have a bunch of DVDs to put out over the next couple weeks. So that was good. Turned out I didn't have those in stock. Yeah, so that's the idea going forward. And then ideally by Thursday, I'll have gone through all of these stacks here, those stacks behind there. There's 3 in particular. I also have another like crate in there that's all country music because I wanted to see if I can get enough together of certain artists and or groups to be worth putting the lots on eBay. There was a couple of country music artist lots in here. There's an Alan Jackson one. There's a couple others. I can't remember off the top of my head. Although one I'm most excited about is the Gaither Gospel Series vocal band, which is there. It's a bunch of them. It's like 30 of them or 25 of them. That should do well. So yeah, so then I have a bunch of those country ones as well. So, and these are all by genre here. Like there's karaoke, there's a bunch of kids ones, there's a bunch of Disney ones. I can't remember all of it, but I think there's an indie rock one. There's a lot of different ones here. And again, I'm going to see if it's worth it. If it's not worth it, I'm just going to pull the discs. And what's not worth it to me would be something that would seem like it wouldn't go for enough money. I'm trying to get at least $20 and up. Ideally more like 30, but at the bare minimum $20 and up for these lots for it to be worth my time. Because I'd rather even just clear out the space and keep it moving, right? And then I have this stack and that stack. Those 2 right there are ones I've done before where they're like popular, well-known artists and groups. And I put them into a big lot and I've sold them locally as well as on eBay. We'll see how many I have and that kind of thing. And then that whole huge stack there is all classical. And I've sold a bunch of those lots locally as well as on eBay. So I'll decide that as well. And then I have more country over here. Country, we'll see. Once I pull it all out, now that I have the space, pull it all out and see if I have enough, for certain artists and groups to put them together. And then once I'm done with all that, which will deal with all of this space out here of CDs and of course the DVDs, then I'll launch into the bathroom where I have even more stuff, which I've mentioned, a lot of series and sets that are probably incomplete, but still a ton that are worth selling as lots, which I've done before. And I was also able to free up a bunch of space. So all the CD lots I currently have on eBay for sale are in crate 2, and crate 1 is empty. So I have space to move those into. And I was able to get rid of some CD lots that just hadn't sold in a long time or just didn't make sense to keep them on there. They weren't going for very much money anyway. So that's a really good idea in general to go back through some of your eBay inventory, especially stuff that's taking up space like lots. That you can find stuff that you forgot about for sure, that you listed, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year ago, whatever, or even longer. And it's just sitting somewhere and it hasn't sold and there's not much interest. And so you just get rid of it. It's better to do that and keep finding better inventory and use that space for better inventory than to keep something there that's sitting for a long time. And even if it does sell, it's not going to sell for very much money. So that's something that's really good while I go through this process. And then I'll tackle what's in the bathroom in the corner, which is a ton of CDs. And I've done this before a couple of years ago where I had accumulated probably like 4 or 5 boxes / crates of those CDs that are from sets like Time Life, Reader's Digest, Lifescapes, like Kids Bop, 20th Century Masters, all those different kinds of collections that have come out over the years. And I sold a ton of them back then because I went through, combed through it, pulled out everything that I could to have worthy lots. And then those sold off pretty quickly over a month or two. And I was left with, what's still in there. I'll share that with you, that process, when I get to it. But that's probably not going to be for another week or two because I still have to go through everything else. But this is super exciting for me. Once I get on the other side of all of that, including what's in the bathroom, then the only thing left that I would have to tackle currently would be, I've got 4 boxes of records there. I've got 2.5 crates of records in there also. Those need to be gone through, sorted out, organized, so that I can just pull from them for future vinyl. But to put out on the floor, on the sales floor in the store. But that's not as important. It's good that I go through like a whole box, so I have a whole entire box that'll take me several months, multiple months to get through. So I don't necessarily have to go through all of it, but of course I don't want to just sit here. So that's the idea that I get on the other side of that. And once I get all that done, then, but as I'm going through it, I'm organizing, right? Like I'm creating neater areas. There's also some CDs down here I have to go through too. So I'm just going to go through all that. But I would say the moral of the story, other than just sharing, as I go through this journey with you guys, is don't do what I did. Don't get bogged down in lots of inventory that a lot of people call it death piles. You can call it that, but you're sort of, oh, I'll deal with that later pile, right? Don't do that. I'm going to head in a direction where once I finally get to the point where I can get pallets of mixed media, that I have nothing else to go through, only that. Because I've never really done that, right? Where I got mixed media pallets, I got CD pallets, book pallets, whatever, and there's nothing else for me to go through. I'm always like squirreling something away. Oh, I'll deal with it later. So I'm not going to have any I'll deal with it later piles or stacks or boxes. I'll deal with everything that I have in here. And if it doesn't make sense to keep it, it's not going to happen. So like as an example, a lot of these CDs that I've kept, like all the Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to say, oh, look, I found 5 Alan Jackson CDs in this one Gaylord. I better keep it just in case the next Gaylord gives me 3. And then I keep going forward. It's debatable, right, whether or not that makes sense. But I don't think for me, that's how I want to do the business. If I find 5 Alan Jackson CDs in one Gaylord, it's not enough. But if I find 15 or 20 or 25 in one Gaylord, in one donation, then that's probably enough to do a lot. So it always depends, right? But if it's enough to then turn around and right away photograph it and list it, then it's probably worth it. But if it's going to take me multiple months to build that collection, especially for something like that, then it doesn't make sense. Other types of sets, like, as an example, these, what are these called? The rock and roll era from Time Life. If you get this complete set, it's worth some really good money. So ones like this are worth putting to the side and building a collection. But a lot of the individual artists aren't. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video as we continue this journey. Take care.